Hello, I have a really exciting project today. This is going to be the base wreath for a seasonal wreath that we're going to be doing as the year progresses. So this base is what I'm going to use, and then every season I'm going to create videos that will showcase different decorations that can be just added to this wreath and taken off as the seasons change. So I'm super excited. I chose to use a smaller size wreath, and I'll leave the wreath size in the description, just because in my particular house, there is a place for me to put this size wreath. So I'm looking forward to having this up every season. I've also chosen some very neutral yarn, and the reason why I chose this yarn is because I really like the texture of it. I specifically chose a yarn that is a little bit more neutral colored, but that it's not too dark because I want my decorations to show up well on it. And I chose the base for this wreath to be white rather than some of the floral greens because I didn't want it to show through. I don't want to wrap this very tightly because I still want that detail on that yarn to show up. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because this can take a little while for the wreath to be... So I'm just really winding this around, not too tight, because again, I want that detail to still show. I'm not gluing this down because I really want to be able to have this move freely. And I also might want to save the yarn for another project. And if I glue it down, then the yarn is essentially ruined. So there are a couple of reasons why I'm just covering this very loosely with this yarn. Now you could use a grapevine wreath. The reason why I stayed away from that from a color perspective is because I really wanted my decorations that I'm going to create to really pop. And this lighter color, rather than the brown of a grapevine wreath, will pop a little bit better. You can use jute if you like, although that's a little darker, so I stayed away from that. I found that this really fit what I was looking for. So I'm just going to continue to wrap this around. Again, not too tight, kind of making sure that it spaces around. They're not pushed real super tight together. You can still, if you were to look closely, in some places see the white through. That's one of the reasons why it's great to have a white wreath. But this gives me that base for the wreath that I'm going to decorate as the seasons move on. Now, all I'm doing here is just tying a simple knot, nothing too bulky, nothing too big, and I've got a couple of little tails that are here that I'd like to leave on to be able to use or to untie my knot later if I want to reuse the yarn. So all I'm going to do is just wrap these with tape and then trim them down, and this gives me a little bit more of a stable end so that I can now tuck that in away where it's not seen. Now I could use this, or you could use this to hang the wreath with, but again, I've decided that I would like to just use ribbon and other types of things to hang it with. So I'm just going to tuck this in. So again, I'm doing that with each of these different sides. And then now I'm just going to, because it's semi-loose, it gives me the ability to do this. I'm just going to tuck that string or that end in through the wreath so that it gives it a little bit more of a finished look. And I'm going to speed that up in just a second so that you can kind of see what it looks like when it's all tucked in. Just takes a little bit of maneuvering, and then it gives that nice finished look. The only thing you can really see is the knot. The knot doesn't stick out very much, so it gives a nice, smooth, flat look. And the best thing is, if I want to, I can remove this yarn and use it again. There you have it. The wreath is pretty standard and pretty nondescript, but what it is it makes a great base for us to put in our decorations. And I'm really excited. The first wreath that we're going to do is our wreath for Valentine's Day. I hope you enjoy this series. I'm looking forward to this, the seasonal wreath. And the next one that you'll see should be our Valentine's Day wreath. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy our videos here at Dory Creative, you might consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming video releases. Thank you, and remember, always be creative.